Rush Commercial Construction Safety Orientation. Please follow along the project safety orientation checklist. Start by placing your company's name at the top of the form. Follow along the video and check the boxes as the topics are covered. All on-site employees are required to receive this orientation. Personal protective equipment, also known as PPE, is required while working on-site. A Rush project superintendent or project management must be on site while any work is being performed. If working for a subcontractor, the competent person from that organization must be on site and oversee the work that is being performed. You can find the emergency numbers posted in our job site office on the safety bulletin board. There's a safety bulletin board in the project office. Maps to the closest emergency care, the OSHA 300 form, safety bulletins, and promotional posters will be posted on this board. Coronavirus disease, also known as COVID-19. All workers are required to complete COVID-19 awareness training and go to our daily check-in points. We strongly encourage all employees and workers to stay home if you are sick. We are regularly cleaning and disinfecting workplace surfaces. For more information, refer to the cdc.gov website. Some signs and symptoms for COVID-19 are dry cough, a fever of 100.4 degrees or more, fatigue, loss of smell or taste. The COVID Big Four: personal protective equipment, personal hygiene, social distancing, and workplace hygiene. The additional PPE that will be required on site is gloves and a face covering or mask. Maintain 6 feet from all workers on site. Please identify your work on a COVID JHA to maintain the 6-foot distances. Wash your hands frequently throughout the day. Once you don and doff your PPE, if you have to cough and sneeze, do so into the crease of your elbow. For workplace hygiene, please clean and disinfect your PPE when you're through, your hand tools, power tools, and all shared equipment. On-the-job injuries can range from minor to severe, so we need to know what first aid steps to take. Supervisors shall be trained in first aid and CPR. Call 911 for serious injuries, and know the location of the first aid kits and eye wash stations. Accidents, incidents, near misses, or injuries must be reported promptly to your supervisor. Near misses and accidents need to have immediate attention to make corrective action and to prevent a reoccurrence. To report safety concerns and violations, contact the project superintendent or the contacts on the safety bulletin board. We are a drug-free workplace. No one under the influence of drugs or alcohol are allowed on site. No one is allowed to possess drugs or alcohol on site. For prescribed drugs, use only as prescribed by a physician. If the drug says no driving, then no work either on site. Always keep the project superintendent informed of your work status. No one who is ill or fatigued shall be required or permitted to work. And always follow the no smoking rules. Emergency Action Plan. The emergency assembly area will be posted on the safety bulletin board for this project. In the event of an emergency, exit the building and assemble at the predetermined location for a head count. Help others if you are able. You are required to attend the weekly toolbox talks to discuss safety on the job. The weekly safety meetings are held on Monday mornings on this project. This is a great time to bring up questions, concerns, upcoming activities, or work coordination. Each subcontractor is responsible for the safety and health of their employees and all sub-tier contractors. If you have questions regarding policies, refer to your company's site-specific safety plan in the Rush Company's Accident Prevention Program located in the project office. You must address working at heights on a fall protection work plan. This plan must be completed by a competent person. Please inspect the equipment, double-check your connection points, anchor points, and know what your rescue plan is. Hard hats must be worn at all times on the job site. The project superintendent may ease restrictions for interior finishes. Do not work under loads. Look out and look up. Barricade drop zones below you that you may be working above to help prevent dropping objects on others. Guardrails. The top rail must be able to support a 200-pound force in a downward and outward direction. The top rail must be 42 inches plus or minus 3, the mid rail at 21 inches plus or minus 3, and toe boards must be installed to help prevent objects from falling on other workers, visitors, or members of the public below. Regardless of height, you must protect employees from falling into or onto impalement hazards such as reinforcing steel like rebar, exposed steel, wood, metal stakes, pipes, or conduits. Remember that danger tape is red and means do not enter. Caution tape is yellow and means use caution. The daily pre-task plan helps control workplace hazards. Every job on this project has a hazard to describe. The steps of the job, the hazards involved with those steps, the methods used to control those hazards. Daily pre-task plans are also to be reviewed and signed by all workers. If you have something to add or do not understand, please see the project superintendent. Personal protective equipment, also known as PPE, can be a construction worker's best friend. Our basic job site requirements are hard hat, safety glasses, high visibility garments, and work boots. Other PPE such as earplugs, gloves, knee pads may be required. Hearing protection may be required when using power tools, working in the vicinity of loud equipment, when noise levels exceed 90 decibels, or when working in posted areas of high noise. Hearing protection may be required. Heat stress is a heat-induced illness when the body is unable to sweat. There could be many factors leading to heat stress, ranging from high temperatures, humidity, working in direct sun, limited air movement, physical exertion, or poor physical condition. Some medications or inadequate tolerance for heat can lead to heat stress as well. To prevent heat stress, block out direct sun or other heat sources. Drink lots of water, wear light-weighted, light-colored, loose-fitting clothes. Also, avoid alcohol and caffeinated beverages. Now the housekeeping rules. Report unsanitary conditions to the project superintendent. Clean up shavings, debris, scraps, or liquid spills. Always store materials safely. Tie down or support piles to prevent rolling or shifting. Do not store materials on stairways, walkways, ramps, and platforms. Keep all traffic lanes, fire exits, gangways, or stairs clear in the event of an emergency. Poor housekeeping is the main reason for slips and trips. You are responsible for keeping your work area clean. Fire extinguishers. Know the location and procedure for sounding the fire alarm. Pull the pin, aim at the base, squeeze the trigger, and sweep the fire extinguisher discharge at the base of the flame. Hot work requires a hot work permit anytime your work creates a spark or a flame. Welding, cutting, and grinding are some examples. A fire extinguisher with a 5-pound ABC minimum is required to be within 25 feet of you and your work. Also, a fire watch may be required for up to 30 minutes after your work is completed. There is a worker's right to know. You have the right to know a list of the hazardous materials on site, and that list is located in the SDS binders in our project office. Make sure anyone who finds chemicals in a secondary container can identify them by the labels that are clearly state the name and identify the hazard. All chemicals are to be stored in approved containers. In the event of a spill, it must be cleaned up and disposed of in accordance with the EPA and DOE regulations. No job site can function without hand tools and power tools. But no matter simple or sophisticated, they can all be hazardous if you do not use them properly. First of all, there are tool safety rules. Use only tools that you've been trained and authorized on. Keep all tools and materials away from the edges of scaffolding, platforms, and shaft openings. Do not use a tool that is damaged. You should inspect and maintain your tools on a regular basis. For power tools, you must be trained in its operation and authorized by your supervisor. Guards must be on, operational, and they must be properly grounded. Cords must be checked and free of defects or repairs. Nail guns require specific training and inspection. Powder actuated tools require specific training and a certification card. There are two types of masks here. The basic dust mask is only good for dusts. The N95 dust mask is for low levels of silica for concrete dust from sawing, drilling, or chipping. Forklifts, scissor lifts, and boom lifts are only to be operated by persons who can show proof of training on that make and model. All OSHA rules apply. That means fall protection in boom lifts and daily inspections are required. Crane and lifting rules. Anytime a load is rigged for overhead lifting, a rush lift plan must be filled out and approved. Use a certified operator, rigger, and a signal person. We must also identify the lift director and supervisor. Rigging hardware must be inspected. For mobile cranes, ensure that the outriggers are out and have cribbing underneath them. Always avoid power lines with a distance of 20 feet at a minimum, and always use tag lines for your loads. Trenching and excavation. Be sure to always call 811 before you dig and have your proper locates ready. A competent person must inspect any excavation or trench prior to entry. 4 feet is the deepest you can go without having any type of protection. Place the dirt spoils a minimum of 2 feet away from the edge of the excavation. Depending on the soil classification, there may be bench sides, sloped sides, or shoring to hold up the sides of the excavation. Be sure to make eye contact with all operators of large equipment and machinery. Wearing high visibility garments will also help you be seen. Even if the equipment has a backup alarm, have a spotter to help when in reverse. A confined space is any place a person can get into, but that is not made to be occupied. It has limited means of access or egress and a potential hazardous atmosphere. Any contractor performing work in a confined space must submit a written plan and proof of employee training. Never enter a confined space without rush superintendent approval. For straight ladders and step ladders, you must be trained on the proper use, placement, load limits, and care and handling for these ladders. Inspect them before use. Use the proper slopes for straight ladders. 4 up, 1 out. Ladders must have non-skid feet and extend 3 feet above the landing for access. They must be tied at the top and bottom to prevent sliding or shifting. A bucket and rope may be used to hoist tools and material, and always maintain 3 points of contact when climbing the ladder. No scaffold shall be erected, moved, dismantled, or altered except under the supervision of a competent person. Scaffolds are to be supported on pads, X-bracing in place, handrails in place, and end rails in place. Scaffold must be fully planked and tied to the building. They are to be inspected daily, and you can verify that on the green tags. Repairs must be made immediately, and access is only via stairs or ladders. Do not climb the scaffold legs. Stay at least 20 feet away from all power lines when the voltage is unknown. Visually inspect tool cords, extension cords daily. Use proper GFCI outlets. Do not run over cords with equipment and do not put cords in drive areas. Do not touch electrical equipment and do not pull on cords. Do not overload circuits. All wiring must comply with NFPA and NEC standards. Conduct that threatens, intimidates, or coerces another worker, customer, or member of the public will not be tolerated. This includes acts of harassment based on an individual's sex, race, sexual preference, or any characteristics protected by federal, state, or local law. Violation of safety rules may lead to suspension or removal from the project. Depending on the violation, you may receive a verbal warning, a written warning, suspension, or removal. That's it for our orientation. I hope you have a good feel for the environment you will be working in. I hope you have a good handle on how important safety is at this job site, as well as what to do in the case of an emergency over the coming weeks and months. As you learn more about your job and your responsibilities, never forget that safety is the most important part of everything you do. So, on behalf of Rush, welcome to the team.